Welcome to week 3. I'm Dr. Monique Middlecoff.
And I'm Natalie Hodson.
And you know what to expect now because you have watched us do the exercises that you'll be performing. And we wanted to give you the verbal instructions and a visual guide for week 3 as well. So Natalie will be doing the exercises and you'll hear my voice the whole time. So follow along with your exercise guide so that you feel comfortable and confident that you know how to do these exercises too. Hello, this is Dr. Monique Middlecoff and Natalie Hodson is demonstrating our exercises for week 3. So if you're just getting started, we're going to start with the transversus abdominis contraction, and this is for endurance contraction. So Natalie is demonstrating the perfect position right off the bat. So you want to lie down on your back, put your feet comfortably on the floor with your hands on the floor at your side. We're going to activate the muscles of the core, specifically focusing on the transversus abdominis, and press your lower back into the floor. You can use your fingers to feel the contraction in the lower fibers of the transversus abdominis, located just slightly in front of the bony protrusion of the hip. Hold for a count of 10 and relax. Great. We want to repeat this exercise 2 more times for a total of 3 sets with a rest period of 30 seconds in between each set. This next one is called the around the clock. So Natalie's going to stand up for this next one. And if you can, you want to picture yourself standing in the middle of an analog clock that's on the floor. So we want to transfer your weight to the left side after you've verified that you have the proper alignment and posture and breathing. We want to step forward and transfer your weight forward on your right leg until you hit the 12 o'clock position on the clock. Now let's step back to the center, and now you're going to step out to the right side, stepping out to 3 o'clock position, back to center. Going to step back to 6 o'clock, back to center, and then switch legs. We're going to transfer your weight, switching legs, step back to 6 o'clock, step back to the center of the clock. Good, now we're stepping out to 9 o'clock, back to center, stepping forward to 12 o'clock, back to center. We want to do 2 sets clockwise, 2 sets counterclockwise, so that we get 4 sets total. We don't need a rest unless you need it. Okay, we're going back to the floor for pelvic floor contraction, the strength variation. Super, so to do this, we want to lay down on your back, pull your feet comfortably on the floor, and lay your hands comfortably at your sides on the floor. We want to gently tighten and hold your pelvic floor muscles, squeezing as hard as you possibly can. Hold and relax, completely relax and rest. Just as a reminder, when we do a pelvic floor contraction for strength, we want to contract all the pelvic floor muscles, which would be the muscles of the urethra, the vaginal contraction, the rectal contraction or the anal contraction, and then lifting your entire pelvic floor. Squeeze and hold. Rest and relax. We want to repeat this 2 times with a 30-second rest period in between each set. Our next exercise is a modified side plank. So to do this, we want to start by laying down on our side. Let's position the elbow directly under your shoulder to lift the upper body off the floor, keeping your hips and knees in contact with the floor. Sometimes I think it's comfortable to let your feet rest behind you just to give you some extra support. Okay, we want to tighten and squeeze the pelvic floor muscles, activate the abdominal muscles, and gently lift the hip off the floor, keeping the knee on the floor until your spine is in a neutral or straight position. Hold briefly for a count of 1, and rest and gently return back to the floor. We want to switch sides and repeat on the opposite side the same motions and the same prompts as our first side. To do this, we want to repeat the entire thing 2 more times on each side so that we have a total of 3 sets with a 60-second rest period in between each side. Okay, we're switching to our exercise of knees to chest. So to start this exercise, we want to lie down on our back, put your feet comfortably on the floor with your hands flat on the floor at your sides. We want to activate the muscles of the core and press your lower back into the floor. Now let's slowly bring one knee into the chest, holding it briefly for a count of 1. Gently bring the foot back to the floor and switch and repeat to the other side. We want to repeat this entire exercise 1 more time so that we have 2 sets with a 60-second rest period in between. Our next exercise is called abdominal bracing with head lift. So Natalie is already in the right position. So in a 3-step fluid motion, we want to contract your pelvic floor, contract your abdominal muscles, and gently bring your chin towards the ceiling as you lift your head off the ground. This should be a slow and controlled motion, not done just as quickly as possible. And we want to briefly hold to a count of 1 as we bring the chin towards the ceiling. Slowly return to that original position. We want to repeat this one 2 more times for a total of 3 sets with a 60-second rest period in between each set. Okay, we want to next do a heel drop without hands. So to do this, we're already in the right position, so lying down on our back, feet comfortably on the ground, hands next to our sides. We want to squeeze and tighten the pelvic floor muscles, activate those abdominal muscles, gently lift the knee towards the chest. Notice we don't have any hands. Hold briefly for a count of 1. Good, and keep the lower back pressed into the floor as you slowly lower the heel back to the ground. We want to repeat all motions on the same side before switching to the other side. This just raises the intensity slightly. For this one, we want to do 10 on each side and switch to the other side, doing this 2 more times total for a total of 3 sets with a 60-second rest period in between. Our last exercise is a sit to stand exercise. So Natalie is going to stand up and use a chair for this one. Now you might find that you have a different height of chair that you prefer. Feel free to select a high or low chair just based on your preference and fitness level. So to do this one, we want our hands to be out in front, but let's first check to see that you have the proper form posture before we get going. So as we gently bring our arms out in front, let's activate the glutes and slowly move into a standing position. Good, gently come back to the seat and stand back up. By this point, you've already heard the instructions that if you need to use your hands, it's absolutely okay. Remember that slow and controlled motions will help us use the muscles of the legs safely, keeping our pelvic floor and abdominal muscles engaged. Good. Thank you so much for joining us for our week 3 video. We will see you for week number 4.